Última hora. Trump y Musk en la mira por escándalo electoral. Trump y Musk enfrentan un nuevo escándalo, señores. Un juez federal reveló acusaciones de fraude electoral en su contra. La justicia avanza lenta, pero al parecer, cuando llega, lo hace como un tren imparable. Y hoy ese tren apunta directo contra Donald Trump y Elon Musk. Dos hombres que al parecer se creían intocables hasta el momento. Y es que han jugado con el sistema, convencidos de que podían manipularlo todo sin consecuencias. Pero en esta nueva revelación ya nos queda claro que la verdad siempre termina saliendo a la luz. Ustedes se acuerdan de aquel truco que Elon intentó hace unos meses con la Corte Suprema en Wisconsin. Todo esto durante las elecciones. Pues bien, aquí lo tienen de nuevo.
Trump advisor and Tesla CEO Elon Musk gave away million-dollar checks to 2 Wisconsin voters Sunday.
I'm not just MAGA, I'm dark, gothic MAGA.
Ahead of a vote that could flip control of the state's Supreme Court. Musk used similar stunts during the 2024 presidential election to support Trump.
Let me tell you, we have a new star. A star is born, Elon.
On Sunday, he said it was meant to draw media attention to the race, which currently has Liberal Susan Crawford edging ahead of Conservative Judge Brad Schimmel for an open seat.
Somewhat inevitably, when I do these things, it causes the legacy media to kind of lose their minds. And then they'll run it on every news channel.
And I just want to say thank you for making it happen.
The April 1st election will decide where the state's top court sits on abortion rights, labor rights, and possibly election rules.
Elon Musk, who has given me his complete and total endorsement. That's nice.
As of last week, a total of $81 million has been spent on the race.
Smart guy. He knows what he's doing.
More than a fifth of that amount was spent by groups affiliated with Musk to support Schimmel, the conservative judge. Protesters lined the streets outside where Musk spoke in Green Bay Sunday.
I think that's just wrong that he's sticking his nose in our business here in Wisconsin. You know, he's working for Washington now. He should be out of our hair and out of the judicial system.
Y como suele pasar, pues bueno, Donald Trump no pudo contenerse y en voz alta soltó lo que normalmente intentaría disimular. Pues ese error suyo es parte central de este nuevo escándalo.
They cheat on elections. That's their single greatest trait. They cheat like hell. And let me tell you, they tried to cheat on this election, but we made it too big to rig.
El problema para ellos es simple. Pensaban que eran demasiado poderosos como para ser atrapados, que podían manipular elecciones sin que nadie los tocara. Pero la justicia, aunque tarde, los alcanzó. Y esta vez, amigos, no hay forma de ocultarlo.
Has ordered Elon Musk to attend an emergency court hearing in Philadelphia this morning to address a bid by the city's top prosecutor to stop Musk's $1 million voter sweepstakes. The lawsuit accuses Musk and his American PAC of operating an illegal lottery and trying to influence voters in the presidential election. Attorneys for the Philadelphia Attorney General asked the judge to order enhanced security for the hearing after the DA was targeted by some anti-Semitic attacks on social media. One account on X posted the DA's home address and wrote that he loves visitors. Mask up and leave all cell phones at home.
Meantime, former FTX executive Nishad Singh was sentenced to time served in 3 years of supervised release. He's the fourth now ex-employee of the collapsed crypto exchange to be punished. Singh faced a maximum sentence of 75 years but received no jail time. This after the judge noted that his cooperation with the government was, quote, remarkable. The judge said he was entirely persuaded that Singh's involvement with the fraud was more limited than that of Sam Bankman-Fried or Caroline Ellison. Ellison recently received a 2-year prison sentence. One prosecutor noted that the FTX campaign finance scheme was totally unknown by authorities until Singh brought it to their attention.
Donald Trump sigue actuando como si lo supiera todo. Máster en economía, en política, en elecciones. Siempre con esa arrogancia que lo caracteriza, ¿no? Elon Musk, por su parte, pues bueno, se presenta como este genio que nunca se equivoca. Pero los hechos nos muestran otra realidad. Cometieron errores graves y ahora las consecuencias empiezan a caerles encima. Lo más importante es que lo que viene después, porque este caso no solo va a exponer a Trump y a Musk, también está generando presión para que se refuercen las leyes electorales en todo Estados Unidos. Algo que yo creo que debió hacerse hace años, luego del primer mandato de Trump, pero bueno, que recién ahora parece inevitable. El mensaje es claro: ningún millonario, ningún político, por más poder que tenga, está por encima de la justicia. Y lo que vemos hoy podría ser el inicio de una nueva etapa en la forma en la cual este país protege sus elecciones. Ahora bien, señores, algo más que Trump no puede ocultar es ese deterioro cognitivo. Por más que intente cubrir los moretones de la mano, poner objetos delante de los tobillos hinchados para que las cámaras no lo muestren, su declive ya es evidente, está frente a todos, y cada día se hace más imposible de ocultar. Lo más insólito es que la última víctima de ese deterioro fue su propia esposa, Melania Trump, pues terminó humillándola en público, con un comentario tan absurdo como vergonzoso, mostrando a todo el mundo que está perdiendo la cabeza. Antes de que repasemos ese momento bochornoso para Melania Trump, quiero mostrarles cómo hasta en los medios aliados del MAGA, del trumpismo, ya empiezan a reconocer lo que es obvio, que la mente de Trump se está apagando. Y eso quedó en evidencia gracias a Tim Miller y Tommy Vietor.
Alex Jones, aforementioned Alex Jones, has some concerns about his president that I'd like to share with you.
Trump has got great genetics. He's tough. And if he takes care of himself, he can make it through these years and then after. But if he doesn't, he's going to have, I predict Trump is going to have some type of collapse within the next 12 months at the current trajectory.
So he's going to, a collapse is coming in the next 12 months for Trump.
Did you watch this whole segment, by the way?
I've got more. More is to come. First, I want to know if you have any thoughts about the collapse coming in the next 12 months.
It sounds exciting. First, I'm thrilled to hear it. Alex Jones was ahead of the curve probably on all things Biden's health. Unfortunately, we should probably admit that.
That's a good point.
We should probably admit that.
The ankles from Alaska, they're straight on shot. They are big. They are swollen. I mean, they are like really big. I mean, they look like my neck's 19 and a half inches.
That's a big neck.
Like that. His ankles look like they're about 15 inches around. That's not a good sign for the heart and the rest of the body, because the rest of him, he's lost weight. He's not that fat. So Trump really needs to exercise and take care of himself. Yeah, that's not good.
Oh, someone make a TikTok audio out of that. That is good. Please. The cankles are getting fucking thick.
Cuando incluso Alex Jones admite que Trump está en un claro declive cognitivo, y ojo que recordemos que Alex Jones no es precisamente un modelo de salud mental ni física, es porque la situación es innegable. Ya no hay vuelta atrás. Todos lo ven, todos lo saben, menos la prensa tradicional, la cual sigue negándose a hablar de temas como este, ¿no? El tema que corresponde. Pero aquí vamos a decirlo claramente: Donald Trump no solo está en decadencia, sino que además usa su poder para atacar a sus enemigos políticos de la manera más hipócrita posible. Y todo se conecta directamente con lo que terminó diciendo sobre Melania. Primero miren cómo lo explicó el congresista Jamie Raskin.
In Maryland, I'm wondering what answers you have about what exactly is going on. Do we know how this warrant was approved? Just any details that you've heard at this point.
No, it's very troubling to my constituents, regardless of what their politics are. It seems to fulfill John Bolton's prediction that Donald Trump's administration would be consumed with revenge and retaliation against his critics. Bolton, of course, wrote a book in which he criticized Donald Trump for catering to the Chinese and trying to get the Chinese involved in our presidential election on his behalf. Over the last week, he's been criticizing Trump's appeasement of Vladimir Putin, saying that Putin just wants to incorporate Ukraine into the greater Russian Empire. And so it's very hard not to see this lined up with a lot of other actions undertaken against John Bolton, including revoking his security detail on the first day of the administration, revoking his security clearance, putting him on Kash Patel's enemies list, and so on. So, the magistrate certainly must have passed upon this search warrant. That's true. But of course, they're only at that point getting the government's side of the story. And we know that Donald Trump was livid and denounced the search warrant that was executed at Mar-a-Lago. And that was a case where he had all of these classified documents and had repeatedly refused to return them after multiple appeals by the government. It doesn't sound like anything like that has gone on here.
And that's what we're kind of waiting to find out, is hopefully we learn more throughout the afternoon here. But, President Trump said earlier he wasn't briefed beforehand on this. Take a listen.
I tell the group, I don't want to know, but just you have to do what you have to do. I don't want to know about it. It's not necessary. I could know about it. I could be the one starting it. I'm actually the chief law enforcement officer, but I feel that it's better this way.
You got to do what you got to do. What do you make of Trump calling himself the chief law enforcement officer?
Well, it's dubious, and it's obviously a radical departure from our tradition of having independent law enforcement under the Justice Department and not having political coordination between the White House and DOJ. And this smells like that. And of course, we know that this Department of Justice views itself as completely subordinate to the president. I mean, the first thing that they did when they got in was they sacked dozens of January 6th prosecutors simply because they did their jobs. And Donald Trump wants to, send January 6th down some kind of Orwellian memory hole. So anybody who had anything to do with it, they're firing. And we're talking about experienced, gifted federal criminal prosecutors who lost their jobs for no reason other than having worked on that case. And so we've seen various kinds of purges like that taking place at the DOJ, at the FBI. And, John Bolton himself predicted that this administration would be about nothing other than exacting retribution against the president's critics.
I mean, so with that in mind, how concerned are you that the FBI's resources are being diverted from things like fighting terrorism, drug trafficking, federal crime, and what do Democrats do about it?
Well, on the House Judiciary Committee, we intend to be exercising as much oversight as possible to make sure that the actual criminal law enforcement agenda of the FBI is not completely neglected as they decide to mobilize the resources of the federal government to go after their perceived political enemies. But it's a very serious problem. A number of units within the FBI and the Department of Justice were dismantled early on, including ones that were set up to protect us against malign foreign interference in American elections, to protect us against malign foreign surveillance and sabotage of different American government functions, and they were just shut down. They also said, of course, that they were no longer...
Ese ataque a John Bolton era lo que realmente lo tenía obsesionado. Donald Trump no quería que se hablara de Jeffrey Epstein. Sí o sí necesitaba otro escándalo que podría desviar la atención. Pues en esta ocasión eligió a Bolton, su viejo enemigo. El problema es que su intento de ataque no solo mostró el abuso de poder más grotesco, sino que también terminó exponiendo a Melania de la peor manera. Porque en plena conferencia de prensa soltó uno de sus chistes de pésimo gusto sobre su esposa. En medio de las preguntas sobre la redada del FBI contra John Bolton, se puso a recordar el allanamiento a Mar-a-Lago en 2022, cuando agentes revisaron habitaciones, documentos y hasta el área personal de Melania. Según él, los agentes revolvieron sus cajones, dejaron todo desordenado. Y bueno, lo contó con un tono burlón, diciendo que Melania es muy ordenada, muy meticulosa y que cuando regresó encontró todo cambiado. Pues bueno, Trump buscaba como victimizarse, pero terminó humillando a su esposa, reduciéndola a un recurso narrativo en su defensa.
Mr. President, I have a question about the search of Ambassador Bolton's home. The Vice President recently just did an interview saying that it's about classified documents, but that there's also broad concern about him. What are the concerns that you have?
I haven't spoken to Pam and the group yet, but I will be. I saw that just like everybody else. I try and stay out of that stuff. I'm allowed to be, and I'm chief law enforcement officer, believe it or not. You know, I don't like to go around saying that, but I am. That's the position. But I purposely don't want to really get involved in it. I'm not a fan of John Bolton. I thought he was a sleazebag, actually. And he suffers major Trump derangement syndrome, but so do a lot of people, and they're not being affected by anything we do. I don't know anything about it. I just saw that. I'll find out about it. But if you believe the news, which I do, I guess his house was raided today, but my house was raided also. Paul Mar-a-Lago. They went through everything they could, including my young son's room and my wife's area. They went through her drawers, as the expression goes. They went through everything you can imagine. And when she came back, she said, she's very neat, you know, she's meticulous. And she looked and she said, whoa, this wasn't the way that she had it. So, you know, so I know the feeling. It's not a good feeling. Thank you.
Ese allanamiento, recordemos, desembocó en una imputación de 37 cargos federales contra Trump por andar reteniendo deliberadamente documentos clasificados, violando la ley de espionaje. Aún así, él decide tomarse la situación a chiste, arrastrando a Melania en el proceso. Lo más extraño de todo el detalle que dejó escapar es que al referirse al área de Melania, quedó claro que no comparten habitación. Y eso confirma lo que muchos sospechaban, que viven en espacios separados dentro de Mar-a-Lago. Una escena que, pues bueno, encaja perfectamente con los rumores de una relación fría, distante, puramente conveniente, ¿no? Pero bueno, los documentos y el encubrimiento de documentos es algo que Trump siempre estuvo envuelto. Y es ahí donde entra otra parte de esta historia, que es la presión de los demócratas para no dejar morir el tema de Epstein, tal y como nos recordó el congresista Ro Khanna.
We're trying to get justice for the victims and transparency for America.
The president should say, I ran on this, the attorney general promised this, we're going to do a clean, full release.
That was California Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna and Kentucky Republican Thomas Massie after Speaker Mike Johnson sent Congress into recess last month. Remember that? Instead of holding a vote to compel the Department of Justice to publicly release files relating to now deceased convicted child sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Well, today, as the House Oversight Committee got its first batch of Epstein documents, members in both parties are still looking for more answers. And joining me now is Congressman Ro Khanna, Democrat from California, member of the House Oversight Committee. All right, you got the transcript of the Maxwell interview and the recording and some documents, so fully transparent and we're done, right? Everything all good?
Well, Donald Trump is out there saying, release the Epstein files, and then he's calling himself the chief law enforcement officer, but he's not releasing the Epstein files. We got less than 1%, you know? I mean, we got less than 1% of the documents. The FBI said there are 300 gigabytes of these documents. We got 1 gigabyte, about 33,000 pages. To put that in perspective, usually in a major investigation, you get about 1 million pages, and most of these pages are already public documents. So they're stonewalling. What we really need to do when we come back is have a vote on Massie and my bill to force the release. The Speaker, as you mentioned, shut down Congress to avoid that vote, but he's not going to keep shutting down Congress. We just need to vote on that.
That point, it's an important point, right? Because we're long past the AG is independent, the Department of Justice. Trump does everything flows from him. He said that this morning he kind of hedged a little bit in his sort of classic self-contradictory way. But here's what he said about the documents and how he told his attorney general to, quote, give them everything. Take a listen.
I have said to Pam and everybody else, give them everything you can give them because it's a Democrat hoax.
It's a Democrat hoax. Are you confident that everything will come over, or do you think they're just blowing smoke?
Well, so far they've been blowing smoke. We got less than 1% of the documents. And, you know, this is not just Democrats. This is Massey. This is Boebert. This is Marjorie Taylor Greene. This is Tim Burchett. It's like the all-star lineup of the MAGA movement that's demanding this. Even Kevin Comer, the oversight chair, is demanding this. So the reality is that Trump is saying one thing because he knows that his base wants to hear that. But obviously he hasn't told Pam Bondi to do that because they haven't released the documents and they're just still hoping this thing just goes away. It's not going to go away.
I want to play you a little clip of this Ghislaine Maxwell interview. Again, I think we've been pretty focused on what one's assessment of its credibility should be. She says that she never saw Trump do anything untoward, that he was a perfect gentleman, also that he was always kind to her and she admires him and what he's been able to accomplish, that she never saw Jeffrey Epstein engage in any non-consensual anything, that the massages weren't sexual. Here she says she kind of has exculpatory account for everyone. Take a listen to this one sentence she says.
I never, ever saw any man doing something inappropriate with a woman of any age.
To remind everyone, that's Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice. I never, ever saw any man doing something inappropriate with a woman of any age. Do you find that credible?
You know, I'm usually pretty even-keeled, but I was so offended and outraged when I heard her say that. And the reason is I've been in touch with the victims' lawyers. 10 of them are going to actually be sharing their stories on September 3rd. I mean, it is so offensive, so insulting to the hundreds of victims who our country has sidelined for years. They haven't been centered. And for Maxwell to get up there and say that nothing was done to them, I mean, she's going to be shocked when she hears the stories on September 3rd. But I'm so angered for the victims whose stories and testimony is being dismissed.
We also do know, I mean, part of the thing about these files, right, we do know, at least from reporting, that the department that flagged mentions of him and that he was told in May his name is among many in the Epstein files. I mean, one of the tests, it seems to me, is like whether we see anything in these files we haven't seen before that mentions Donald Trump, frankly.
Absolutely. And we also have a subpoena to the Epstein estate to get the birthday book. But you notice how Trump, he says, well, I want to release everything, but I'm really concerned because some of my friends and some of the people I know may be mentioned in these files. Yeah. Really? That's your concern? The embarrassment of your buddies as opposed to justice and closure for the victims? I mean, it is just absurd at this point. And this is the one issue where his base is pushing back. I mean, they haven't pushed back on deporting people without due process. They haven't pushed back on taking away cancer research. They haven't pushed back on cutting Medicaid. But here they're pushing back, and that's what's got him concerned.
Sin duda es el camino correcto. No soltar la narrativa, no permitir que Trump y sus cómplices escondan lo que pasó con Epstein, ni que intenten enterrar los archivos, porque el patrón es el mismo, ya sea con Melania, sea con Bolton, sea con Epstein. Donald Trump abusa de su poder, manipula la información y humilla a quienes lo rodean, incluso así sea su propia esposa. Aquí está lo más claro, ¿no? El deterioro de Trump ya no es algo que pueda ocultar. No son rumores, no es un ataque político. Son sus propias palabras, sus propios gestos, sus propios desvaríos los que lo exponen cada día más. La pregunta es, ¿cuánto tiempo más podrá el Partido Republicano seguir fingiendo que no lo ven? ¿Cuándo? Hasta Melania termina siendo utilizada como ejemplo de este colapso mental. Muchísimas gracias por acompañarme hasta el final de este video. Recuerda apoyar con un like, compartir nuestro contenido con tus amigos y familiares y recuerda suscribirte a nuestro canal si no lo has hecho. Nos vemos en el próximo video. Hasta luego.